What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Tanner Weidman of Barbarian Bike. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a full biceps and triceps workout routine to help you guys to add some mass to those guns. Let's just get straight into this one. When it comes to building bigger arms, you always want to prioritize your triceps. They're just way larger than the biceps, and you're going to notice a lot more growth in the overall arm size by putting the triceps first. We're going to begin this workout with some overhead cable extensions for 3 sets of 10 repetitions. Now, the reason we're beginning with this exercise specifically is because when you put your arm in this position and you lift it up, you're able to get a stretch of the long head of the triceps because it runs through your shoulder joint. The long head of the triceps, that's just your biggest head. Now, here's how you actually want to perform the exercise, getting a nice full stretch of that long head of the triceps by letting those arms go down as far as you possibly can while maintaining the tightness of the elbows. As you can see in this position right here, we're getting half repetitions, and this is just really leaving a lot of the gains that are on the table because the muscle that is the most stretched is going to be the muscle group that is the most targeted. So you want to focus on getting that full range of motion and getting as low as you possibly can while maintaining form. Now, the next thing you want to do is not let your elbows flare out like this. This sort of becomes more of a press. Not just that, but you're putting a lot of tension on the elbows, mostly in the inner portion of the elbows, and it's not very healthy for the shoulders either. So when performing this exercise, ensure you're keeping those elbows tight to the head. You want to keep them about shoulder width apart. They can slightly go a little bit outside of that. Slow tempo, 1 to 2 seconds on the eccentric, getting nice and low, stretching the long head of the triceps, and when you're coming up, contracting the triceps as hard as possible. You'll notice also that the bar is actually a little bit crooked while I'm performing this, and this is because I didn't have a mirror in front of me and I wasn't able to gauge that. This is the importance of using a mirror. You want to ensure that there's symmetry on both sides of your body and both sides of the bar. Next exercise, we're going to be focusing on the other half of the horseshoe. This is the lateral head of the triceps, and we're going to be getting 3 sets of 15 repetitions for the neutral grip cable extensions using some donkey nuts. Now, here's the proper way that you want to perform the exercise. You see the control and you see the form. Now let's get into how not to perform this exercise. Variation number 1, you do not want your elbows to start to drift out in front of you as you're performing each repetition and then bring them back in as well. You want to keep that upper arm completely stationary. You want to imagine that there's a bar going through your elbows and through your shoulders, locking them into your torso so you can ensure that you're strictly targeting just the triceps. Now, the next big no-no right here are these like pushing cable extensions that a lot of guys tend to do when they're using way too much weight. This is incorporating your anterior deltoid and as well as your lower pecs, and a lot of momentum too from the spinal flexion here. Focus on keeping your torso completely upright. Upper arm completely stationary. The only thing I'm doing is hinging from my elbows. As always, we got a great tempo. 1 second on the eccentric. When I'm coming down to the bottom, I've added a half of a second of an isometric hold where I'm pulling those donkey nuts apart and mentally thinking about that lateral head of my triceps, the outside head, squeezing the absolute hell out of that. You want to bring those hands up as high as you possibly can while still maintaining that elbow position and not letting the arms start to drift forward. 3 sets of 15 repetitions. Let's get on to the triceps finisher. Finish this thing off. We're going to be getting 3 sets of 10 repetitions of some decline skull crushers. This is going to help us hit the long head, the lateral head, and as well the medial head of the triceps. Now, when performing this, same thing I was mentioning with the overhead extensions, you do not want to let this sort of become a press. Always, when it comes to biceps and triceps, you're focusing on keeping the upper arm completely stationary and locked. You only hinge from the elbows. Now, as you can see, this is the elbow positioning that I want you guys to maintain here. Shoulder width apart. You don't want them to begin to flare out. You don't want them to press at all. Whereas with this demonstration, you can see I'm starting to get a little bit sloppy with the form. My elbows are starting to peel outwards. This is what you do not want to have happen. Again, you're going to put a lot of stress on the inner portion of your elbows, and you're really not going to be putting and maintaining as much tension on the triceps as you possibly could by having your elbows nice and tight. Bringing that bar to about midpoint of the top of your head right there. This allows us to get a nice decent stretch. And because we're in this decline position, as opposed to doing it the traditional way where you're just going to be parallel with the ground, you're actually able to keep a lot more tension on the triceps even when you're moving more towards that lockout point. Now let's get into the biceps. We're going to kick this thing off here by focusing on a portion of the biceps that is tending to always lag for me, and I've noticed for a lot of other guys too, which is the outer head of the biceps. We're actually going to be able to hit the brachialis here as well. We're going to be getting some hammer grip spider curls right here. Here's how you do not want to perform the exercise. Again, it's caused by upper arm movement. My elbows are drifting back as I'm attempting to curl this weight up. This makes the movement more efficient for the body and takes a lot of the load off of the lever arm. You want to keep the position from your elbow to your shoulder, again, locked in place, and present the true weight of the load that you're using for the biceps. Now, here's another thing that you want to try and avoid, and this goes for every one of the exercises that I've demonstrated right here. You get your full repetition, but at the bottom of the rep, you take a second or a half of a second of a pause right there, releasing all of the tension off the muscle that we are hitting. You want to try and have consistent and consecutive time under tension for each
each and every single repetition. That's what's gonna make the exercise most effective. Final exercise we're getting here are some wide grip dumbbell preacher curls, 4 sets of 10 repetitions. Now we're gonna be performing these with the dumbbells because it presents the biceps with more of a challenge when each arm is presented a load independently. When we're doing it with the bar, you're gonna notice that one arm is gonna do a little bit more of the pull than the other arm. Typically it's your right arm, whatever arm you're dominant with, and this is gonna help to cause a lot of imbalances, or even those slight imbalances that only you notice but drive you absolutely insane. Now here's what I want you guys to avoid. Completely letting your arms lock out at the bottom and taking about a half of a second of a rest, okay? You're taking all the tension off of the biceps. What you wanna do is get all the way down as far as you possibly can while still maintaining the tension on the biceps. It's just before you get that lockout. That's what's gonna actually increase the intensity of this exercise quite significantly. Trust me, put it into application, you're gonna be blown away. Now the next big no-no that typically happens is when guys take their ass out of their seat, they roll their shoulders forward and they use all of their body weight to help them to get the weight up. Again, this is a consequence of, guess what, using too much weight. Sit your ass down. Do not let your shoulders roll forward. You wanna keep your entire body outside of your elbow that's just strictly hinging, completely stationary to help to isolate this exercise. Another thing to avoid doing is connecting the dumbbells together. When we have them a little bit wider right there, one, we're gonna be able to focus more on that inner head, and two, we're actually able to increase the intensity of the exercise because, as I mentioned, there's a lot of stabilizing right there. When you connect the two, that's just simply making the exercise more easy to perform. You'll also notice that I'm actually stopping at a point while performing this exercise. I'm not bringing those dumbbells underneath of my chin. That's redundant. There's no tension at that point right there. All tension is completely lost. What you wanna focus on is bringing those dumbbells up to the point where your arms are completely perpendicular with the ground, or your arm is vertical up 90 degrees with the ground. When you start to bring those dumbbells in closer past that point right there, they're doing absolutely nothing. That's just a point where you're gonna be able to give the biceps some rest. So be cognizant of that. Remove that portion of the routine. Avoid the complete lockout, high time under tension, utilize eccentrics, and you will absolutely destroy your biceps. So there you guys go. That concludes today's full biceps and triceps gym workout routine for bigger arms here. A little bit sweaty here because I got hot and heated when I'm recording this, and that light is a little bit hot too. Anyways, if you guys made it this far in the video, be sure to leave a comment down in the comment section telling me how many Christmas trees I got up in this bitch so I could see who made it this far in the video, and also so that we can troll everybody else in the comment section when they say, why is everybody commenting 2 Christmas trees? If you guys enjoyed the video, then be sure to smash that like button down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you will not want to miss. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'll see you all in the next video.